The spotlight had never been his choice. Yet, at 18, Barron Trump found himself at the center of a storm he never asked for. Whispers of his future in politics had grown louder, turning into a roar of expectation. His name carried weight, a legacy he couldn't escape. But with that legacy came shadows, powerful forces that didn't want to see him rise. And when an unexpected accident nearly cost him everything, Barron realized this was no coincidence. It was a warning. The question was, would he back down, or would he stand up and fight? Barron had always been the observer. While his family dominated headlines, he preferred quiet moments, reading history books, walking through Central Park in the early morning, listening to music that no one expected him to like. But no matter how much he tried to stay in the background, the world had other plans. His father's advisors whispered about the future. News outlets speculated about his potential in politics. Could he be the one to bring a new era? The idea was ridiculous to him. He was just a teenager, still figuring out who he was. But the whispers turned into pressure, and soon, they turned into something more dangerous. One evening, while returning home from an event, a car sped toward him at an alarming speed. If not for his bodyguard's quick reflexes, Barron wouldn't have been standing there the next morning, staring at the shattered glass of a nearby storefront. "This wasn't random," the security team muttered. "Someone wants to send a message." As Barron recovered from the shock, he started to see the world differently. He wasn't just a name anymore. He was a threat. Political rivals, media figures, unseen forces, they all had their own agendas. And Barron was in the way. His mother, Melania, was the first to notice the change in him. "You don't have to be your father, Barron," she told him gently, "but you do have to be strong." He didn't want power. He didn't want influence. But he couldn't ignore what was happening. If people were willing to go to these lengths to stop him before he even started, what did that say about the system? What did that say about the future? So, Barron made a decision. He wouldn't be silenced. If the world wanted to know who he was, he'd show them. On his own terms. The attempt on his life had shaken him, but it had not broken him. If anything, it had solidified his resolve. The bulletproof glass of the SUV had shattered upon impact, the deafening sound still echoing in his mind. His security team had reacted instantly, whisking him away before the second shot could be fired. The streets of New York had never felt so dangerous, yet Barron knew he couldn't hide. He wouldn't. That night, against all advice, he made a decision. He would speak directly to the people. Not through a carefully crafted statement, not through an intermediary. He would look into the cameras and let America see him as he was. Not just the son of a former president, not just a name, but a person with his own convictions. Days later, the studio was packed. News outlets from across the country had gathered, eager to hear what he had to say. His team had tried to brief him, to prepare him for the onslaught of scrutiny that would follow. But when the red light of the camera blinked on, he set their notes aside. He took a deep breath and began. "I never asked for this spotlight, and was told to stay quiet to let this moment pass, but I refused to live in fear." His voice was steady, unwavering. "Tonight, I stand here, not as a symbol, not as an heir to any dynasty, but as an American, someone who believes in the power of unity over division, of courage over silence. I'm not here to be a symbol of the past. I'm here to be a voice for the future." He spoke of the attack, not with anger, but with clarity. He addressed his future, not with arrogance, but with determination. And most importantly, he spoke to the people, not just the powerful, not just the wealthy, but to every person who had ever felt overlooked, misunderstood, or trapped by expectations. By the time he finished, the room was silent. Then, one by one, they rose to their feet. Applause erupted, not just in the studio, but across the country. People weren't just watching a speech. They were witnessing a moment, a shift. He wasn't trying to be his father. He wasn't playing into expectations. He was speaking from the heart. And the world listened. As he stepped away from there, Barron knew this was only the beginning. He wasn't running from his future anymore. He was stepping into it, unbreakable. As he stepped off the stage, his phone buzzed. A message from a number he didn't recognize. "This is just the beginning. Keep going." Barron smiled. He already knew.